Welcome everybody. I am Matt Sellhorst, creator of the Splash System, and here at Boat Dealer Profits, we are committed to helping you sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. Welcome to this edition of the Boat Dealer Profits podcast. We have a great opportunity here for you to learn about digital marketing. We're gonna talk about four pieces that you need to have a successful digital marketing campaign. So as we're looking at it, I want to share the four areas that we're going to cover. We'll go into more detail, and this is information that's coming from work that we're doing with clients. You may or may not be aware that we've recently added, and I say recently, last year or so, we've added done for you marketing services, which means we basically have created a digital agency, a digital market agency within the Boat Dealer Profits training and consulting program. So for many of our clients, we are now handling their digital marketing. We're handling their 24/7 boat selling machine, and we're doing their Facebook advertising, their Google AdWords, their Google display, their retargeting, remarketing, geofencing, their follow-up systems, all of that for them. So this is information that's actually being put in place on a consistent basis around the country. And so it's something that we've been able to kind of glean the best practices, and we're not like others in the industry that don't bring any strategy, or we do everything that and it's not area exclusive. One of the big pieces to our program is the fact that it is area exclusive, which means that as long as there's not a dealer in your area, we can bring you on for a client. Now, fortunately for us, unfortunately for you, maybe is those marketplaces are being snatched up pretty quickly, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode is because I think actually from surveys we've done, we've recently done some surveys with dealers asking, hey, what is your biggest challenge in the marketing place? What kind of type of articles would you like to see us write in boating industry and do podcasts on? And over it came to internet marketing, digital marketing, AdWords. Those were the types of requests that we got in that survey with with hundreds of dealers. So here's the four topics that we're going to cover today. The first, we're going to talk about the Facebook pixel. It is a foundational component of any digital marketing strategy. And actually, I take that back. It's just a foundational component that you should have on your website. And if you're investing with a marketing company, or a company that has done your website and you're paying them, and you don't have this Facebook pixel on your website, you are likely not dealing with the right type of company. Okay, it's just a foundational piece. It's real easy. The second, we're going to talk about AdWords. For a lot of dealers, it's one of the more successful components of their overall digital marketing system. Now, understand, I didn't say their only component, but one of the more successful components. The third, we're going to talk about geo-targeting and geofencing. I recently did an article on this in Boating Industry Magazine, and it is a newer technology that the way we're using it, that is very cool. We'll get into that. And then the fourth, which is an absolute must, almost like the Facebook pixel. This is a little bit more in depth and a little bit more detailed, but the 24/7 boat selling machine. It is an absolute requirement to be ultra successful in any marketing program, not just on the digital. So let's start with the Facebook pixel. So what is the Facebook pixel and what does it allow you to do? Well, it's pretty simple. The Facebook pixel is just a little bit of code. Code is just like, think of it like a language. It's like a sentence. It's like a sentence in the English language, but it's a snippet of code, which is, in the technical world, makes your website do something, okay? So that code is put on your website. It's added to one page or all the pages, and what it does is it drops a little breadcrumb, puts a little mark on that computer and says, hey, this person has been to this website. This person has been to this specific web page. And now for a period of time, you know who that person is, and this is where the power comes in, is now you can follow them around the internet and you can serve ads to people You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on, there's a little bit different tracking code, but on Google, the Google Display Network. And you can follow those people around for a period of time and you can show them ads. Now, why is that so important? Well, here's why it's a foundational piece, and one of the pieces that we've added into our Splash system as one of the very first steps for the digital marketing program is get that piece of code on your website. Now, it's real easy. It's free to do. You can just create it, email it to whoever hosts your website, and hey, this needs to be on my website. That if they're competent at all, they'll know exactly what to do with it. I've yet to find a website company that doesn't know what to do with it. But amazingly enough, they're not suggesting, they're not proactively getting you to put that on there. And here's why it's so important to get on right away, is until that little piece of code is on your website, you can't track. So you can't go back in history and find those people. Once it's on there, you can track from that point forward. So here's why it's powerful is once you know who that person is, you can follow them around. Hey, if they've been to your website, what does that tell you about them? Well, I can tell you a couple things. Is first, you probably have invested some money to get them to your website, right? You've invested some money, whether it's with pay-per-click ads, whether it's with your search engine optimization, your search engine marketing, whether it was with a Facebook ad, whether it's that you paid for a boat show, whether it is signage, a billboard, whether it's a radio or a TV ad, one way or another, you've invested, maybe a boat trader ad, you've inventory listing, you've invested to get that person there. So let's take, for example, it's a Google AdWord. It's a pay-per-click, and you pay $1 or $1.25 to get that person to your website, right? Well, if you don't have that tracking code on your site, you pay that $1.25, and then they leave. They don't ask a question. They don't fill out they don't engage with your boat chat guy. They're just gone. Well, they're gone forever. You don't know who they are. You don't know anything more about them, and you can't communicate with them in any other way. Now, let's take a look at what it would look like when that code is on your website. Well, the first thing is you know who's been to your site, and you can now communicate with them throughout their other online activity by showing them messages. Showing them messages when they're on Facebook, showing them messages when they're on other websites, their favorite news website, their sports website. Check it out, ESPN.com or any other search, anywhere where you see those little ads on the side. That could be your ad, and it could be your ad shown only to people that have been to your website, only to people that are, for whatever reason, have been drawn to your website. So who are those folks? Well, who's showing up at your website? Yeah, your potential buyers, your potential customers that want to give you money. And that's what the Facebook Pixel and the Google tracking codes allow you to do. So I encourage you, just even if you aren't going to use them yet, get them on your website, because once they're there, you can always make the decision to use them later. But if you decide that you want to use them and it's not there, well, then you don't have that history of visitors. And this episode's coming out in May. I think it's coming out in May. But anyway, this is coming out at a time where, listen, the visitors to your website are going to spike over the next several months. You want to be able to track them. And I encourage you to take advantage of the ability to retarget or remarket. That's a technical speak for what that means, to drop a breadcrumb on them and say, hey, this person's been to my website, and then show them ads on various other websites that they may be visiting after they visit yours. So that's number one, foundational, easy to do, free to do. If you got questions, reach out to me. Just shoot me an email, and I can give you some resources to help out. Matt at boatdealerprofits.com. The second is Google AdWords. Now, what Google AdWords is, if you're not aware, and we've done some research on this, what we're seeing is that about 20 to 30% of dealers in the U.S., most of our research is done in the U.S. and Canada, although we have folks in Australia and South America and some other places, England. But what Google AdWords allows you to do is to target people that type in specific words. So if they type in boat dealers in your area, there's two things that will show up. The first thing is an ad. an ad that will, if you type it in your website, it'll say sponsored or ad, and it'll be designated as they're paying there to get that positioning. Now, here's the thing: it's free to show up there. The only time you pay in most setups, there's different ways you can set it up, but in most setups, the only time that you pay is when somebody clicks it. So when you actually get a result, somebody clicks it and ends up on your website. So the other way you can show up is by just having your website built properly, and that's called search engine optimization, or SEO. And that is something that you show up for free, but you have to do some work. Your website has to be built properly. There's a lot of work that has to go into the back end. There's a bunch of different ways to get yourself ranked higher, and Google is always looking to get that dialed in even better. So they do various updates from time to time that no matter what you invest in your SEO, when they do one of those updates, you kind of have to, you take 5 steps forward, you take 6 steps backwards, you take 10 steps forward, you take another 7 steps backward, and slowly but surely get your website to rank real high. But the Google AdWords, you have a lot more control over. You have more control over the keywords. So if you sell pontoon boats, you can buy the word. Let's say you sell pontoon boats in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can buy the keyword pontoon boats for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina. That would be a keyword. It might cost you $1, might cost you $1.50, might cost you $1.75 in the heat of the season, depending on how many dealers in your area are competing for that word. If you're in a marketplace with a Bass Pro Shop or a Cabela's, or one of the larger big boxes, then Marine Max, then you are competing against others, and that price may be a little bit higher. But if you don't play that game and you don't play it smarter than the big guys do, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of smart things the smaller guys can do that the bigger guys don't, and it's harder for them because of the way they're set up. But sometimes, a lot of times when you do it right, you can actually beat them at that game, and you can make it more expensive for them, and you can get better results than they do. But imagine, by doing that, you're getting in front of a person. The only reason you would type pontoons for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina, is if you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you're looking to buy a pontoon. Boat dealers, Charlotte, North Carolina. Pontoon boat dealers, Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, you may search that if you're looking for a part or service, but it's a very high quality person that's searching that term, and if you have a compelling ad that gets them to click it, you can do very well for yourself. And that's why it's one of the more successful digital marketing programs that people use. But here's where some of the power comes in, is having a strategy. Is one, when you do get that click, you want to make sure that pixel is there and the tracking code is there, so that you can then remarket them and not pay $1, not pay $1.50, $1.75, but you can get to that person and you know they're qualified, you know they're more targeted, and you can get for them a lot cheaper. Now, I'll give you a quick little tip on Google AdWords. One of the best ways to improve your Google AdWords over time, now, it's not a silver bullet. Nothing with digital marketing is a silver bullet where you just plug it in and boom, it starts shooting out boat sales. Now, that's the ultimate goal, to build that boat sales vending machine, but it doesn't start out that way. Not even for our clients. Anybody that tells you, hey, we're going to do this and it's going to be going like gangbusters from day one, it's just not how it works. Every market's different, every dealer's different, the competition is different, types of boats you offer are different, the combination of brands that you carry are different than most other dealers in the area, and so there's some learnings that have to come with time, and you just start building. So one of the best ways on Google AdWords to get that learning, to figure out, is do what we call in the digital marketing world, or in the marketing world, is A/B testing. And it's real easy in the digital marketing world, so it's done more often. And A/B testing is the showing of one ad to a portion of people and a different ad to another portion of people searching the same word. So that pontoons for sale, Charlotte, North Carolina, you would show one ad to half of them, you would show a second ad to half of them, and you would let it run for 30 days. And then what would you do? You would take the winner and you would run that one. And then you would take that ad, and the next 30 days you would put it against another ad, and you would see which one is the winner. Now, there's also seasonality that comes into play. There's some seasonal messaging that you will do from time to time. with your closeout inventory towards the end of the year. If you have leftovers still right now, there would be a different message that you would use there. But over time, you're honing in on those messages. And here's an interesting thing about AdWords is Google says, hey, you know what? We don't always want to give it to the highest bidder. This is how you can beat some of the big guys. Big guys, if you're listening, this is some stuff that you can use. Reach out to me, but so most of your markets are going to be taken. But anyway, what happens is Google says, you know what? We can make more money on ads if we don't always give it to the highest bidder, but we give it to the person that gets clicked on most often, that writes the best ad, that has the most compelling offer. Because if I pay $3 for that same phrase and you get clicked on 1 out of 100 times, I make $3. But if you bid 50 cents, but out of 100 times I show it, your ad gets clicked on, let's say 20 times, well, now they made $10. So that's a $7 difference, even though it's $3 versus 50 cents per click. But if your ad is more compelling, more engaging, and done better, because you've done that A/B testing over time, you can get to a point where you can underbid your competition and still get shown more frequently. And Google is smart enough; they've got the artificial intelligence, the AI, the smarts built into their algorithms to do that, and to always be testing and always be checking it out. So again, it's not a clear cut. Here's what you do and you're going to win. It's over time. And when I say over time, I'm not talking over weeks or days. I'm talking over months and years. But over time, you get incredibly good. And when you have that long-term mentality, which most of our clients, they invest a significant amount to get started with the program, knowing that they're not in the boat business for the next 2 years. They're in the boat business for the next 10 years, the next 20 years. They're grooming their kids or somebody in their family to take over the business in the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years. They've already got, a decades, 2 decades, 3 decades of experience, but they're also are going to double that, and they're going to go on the opposite side a long way. So it makes sense to invest in that learning instead of every year starting from scratch and saying, oh crap, what are we going to do now? Well, I guess I had a dealer the other day that said, hey, we spent $15,000 on a boat show. Traffic was awful. Quality wasn't really there. We didn't sell a single boat, but we dropped 15 grand and all the money to get the boats there, the time, the labor, the effort. Are you going to do the show again? Well, I guess. Whereas if you invest $15,000 on digital marketing, not only are you going to get the results from this year's digital marketing campaigns, but you're also going to have that learning. So next year's digital marketing campaigns are that much better. You've done your A/B testing. You've built your audience with your pixel and your tracking code. So you're going to be able to target back to those people that have already been to your website, which are more highly qualified in most cases than just general print ads, general boat show audiences, general TV and radio spots. And so over time, you're building that audience. Then that leads us into geofencing or geo-targeting. I'm going to grab a drink real quick. But it leads you into that geofencing and geo-targeting. Now, it requires a little bit more investment because, and I'll explain it to you and you'll understand why, because of the power of it and the cost of it. But geofencing is the ability to, just like with the pixeling and the tracking, we can track people that have been to certain websites. We can track people in the physical world with geofencing or geo-targeting. And the way it's being done now, the fencing or the blueprinting is what we call it internally, is the ability to track people based on their cell phones or their iPads, anything that has GPS on it essentially, and track where they've gone. So it doesn't work for everybody. Some people turn off that functionality, but a majority of the people carry cell phones, your clients especially. Say virtually all of your clients carry cell phones. Virtually all of your clients and prospects are using apps on their phone that use GPS, whether it's Waze or Google Maps or the Papa John's app, or I've got my haircutting app. The place I go get my haircut has GPS on their app. And if any of those are engaged and they walk into, let's say, a West Marine, or they walk into another boat dealership in your area, or they walk and they're at the boat landing and they're putting their boat in, or they're at the marina, or they live on a body of water. Let's say they live on a lake. This is a great scenario where this geofencing works real well. Let's say that you're a dealer that is 2 hours outside of a major city in a vacation destination, a second home area is how I refer to it. And those people come on the weekends and then they go back to their primary home on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Well, you can track those people that are at that lake and that come into the lake area on Saturdays and Sundays. You can track those people so that you can then serve them ads. That's geofencing, is taking them and saying, okay, you've been to this location, and it's defined by, geofence kind of describes it pretty well. You put a fence around the area that's valuable to you, and then you say, okay, everybody that comes in there, put a little breadcrumb on them, put a little tick mark on them that they've been here, and then over time, I want to be able to serve them ads. Now, that's very targeted. You lay that on top of a good Google Ads campaign, the Facebook pixel and the Google tracking code on your website, and now you're building a foundational base to market to over time that's going to allow you to be more effective, more targeted, more efficient with your ad spend. And then you're using, which isn't on the list today, but then you're using the Google Display Network and all of those ads that you can follow them around, that retargeting and remarketing. And you're doing that with folks that have been to your geofence, and you're giving them a compelling offer that is, it's strategically built to attract people without them, and you're doing it in a more subtle way. You're not just saying save $10,000 on a boat today, but you're putting messages out there that kind of match up, because you don't know those people in the geofence. Yeah, they're more likely than not to be boaters. Depending on the type of waterways and how you do it, there may be some locations that are more targeted to your type of boats that you offer. Maybe you cover every type of boat in your marketplace, and if you're a boater, you're a boater in your local market area, you sell that type of boat that can satisfy them. Or maybe you're a more niched player, like just a wake surf dealer, and all you do is towboats. Well, in that geofence, if you target your local lake, you're going to be picking up all boaters, and so it may not be exactly on target for you, but still you've narrowed down the whole world to those that have been out on the body of water, which tells you, hey, those are pretty good prospects, and that's what geofencing does. And you're always serving ads, and you're always trying to get them to engage, whether that's giving you a name and email address, whether it's getting them to pick up the phone and call, whether it's getting them to actually walk into your dealership, which the geofencing, again, you can target those people as well. Hey, you've been to our dealership. Great. We want to serve you messages for sure. You've already been here. You maybe have even given us money. We want to keep our name in front of you as being the go-to boat people for you. And we want to have a smart campaign, not just throwing your brands out there, not just throwing your logo out there, but have a smart approach to doing that over time. But this is the topper on all of this stuff. So everything is designed to get the most highly qualified, the most targeted people into your world. Whether that's you actually have them on your list for the 24/7 boat selling machine, whether it's you've tracked them and you put that breadcrumb on and you're following them around the internet with some good messaging. They've been into your dealership. They've actually met a salesperson. They've had a conversation with you. Is the follow-up, the 24/7 boat selling machine follow-up system. Now, that includes the relationship building e-zines. That includes the boat preview newsletters. That includes the automated emails that are personalized and have a very personal message, educational, informational messaging, positioning you as the expert, positioning you as the authority, positioning you not as a salesperson, but as that trusted advisor, and building that know, like, and trust factor. So when you put all four of these components together in your digital marketing campaign, or just it doesn't even need to say digital marketing these days. It's just basically marketing, because the most effective media these days are online, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Google, pay-per-click, AdWords, whatever you want to call it. It's where your customers are. It's where most of your dollars are likely being invested outside of boat shows. And I would even encourage you to say, hey, let's make sure our boat shows are paying for themselves. Let's make sure we're tracking it, that we spend $15,000 at a show. We didn't sell any at the show, but how many do we sell afterwards? Is it over a year's time? Does it pay for itself? And if not, does it make sense to scale down our boat show budget and allocate to other marketing opportunities? Or, hey, our print's doing great. Let's allocate more to print. Or, hey, our print media is, we're spending $1,500 on an ad. We're spending $1,500 a month on an ad in this magazine, and I don't know, we've been doing it for 5 years. So that's what, 18,000 a year? 18,000 a year that you're investing in a print magazine that you don't know whether it's working or not. And when you look to invest $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month in digital that you can easily track, you can not only know exactly how it's working, but you get that ability to improve on it every year. You get that learning. You get to build up your geofence. You get to build up your people that you've pixeled and tracked and drop that breadcrumb all over the place in all these different ways that you can never do at print. Where is your money going to be better spent? I don't know. Every market's different. I can't, on this podcast, I can't give a definitive, here's what you need to do, but I can certainly give you some real easy ways to track it so that next year, next year you can make a fact-based decision and say, okay, we're going to move this spend here, we're going to move that spend there, we're going to spend more here, and we're going to get more aggressive there. And now, the following year, hey, you learned even more. And you do it versus every year is throwing the 4, 5, 6% of your budget to marketing and just guessing and hoping that it works, or this is what worked 10 years ago, or this is what we've always done. That's a real quick way to blow your marketing budget. That's a real quick way, just like I've had clients in the digital marketing world that, hey, we're going to put $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month towards digital marketing, and there's no strategy behind it, and they're just doing digital marketing because that's what you should be doing. And their ads, they're not doing A/B testing. They're not working with somebody that understands the marketplace and that understands strategy and that actually understands what it takes to sell a boat, not just to get engagement, not to get likes on Facebook, not to build an audience, for building an audience's sake, but doing all of this to ultimately drive a face-to-face, nose-to-nose opportunity for your salespeople. And that's what really good marketing does. That's what really good digital marketing does. And it's not about the Facebook pixel exactly. It's not about AdWords. It's not about geofencing. It's not about the 24/7 selling machine. Although that one alone right there would make a big dent and improve your success, just having that 24/7 boat selling machine in place. But it's not about all of those. It's about all of those being dialed in, working together in a systematic way, having the right messaging, and with the goal of getting a highly qualified, less price sensitive prospect in front of your top salespeople. And then, oh, by the way, making sure that your salespeople are trained up to get the best results when they are in front of them. So get rid of any bad habits. Give them some pointers, which is just kind of a bonus service that comes along for our clients that I don't know anybody in the marketplace that is capable or willing to invest that in their clients. But ultimately, the best marketing campaign in the world falls apart if your salespeople aren't doing a great job. So we add that in because we know, if the salespeople aren't doing a great job up front, the marketing doesn't get as good of results. On the flip side, if the marketing's doing okay, but the sales guys are doing a great job face-to-face with the client, the marketing looks even better, So that's a belief of ours that we just incorporate in because it is such a key component. And I'm surprised more folks don't put effort into that or put any thought into that. Marketing only gets you so far. So I hope this was valuable. I hope it opened your eyes a little bit to opportunities that are out there. I hope it gave you a baseline knowledge of saying, oh, Well, that makes sense. It seems complicated, absolutely. And I'm not I couldn't on this podcast go in and say, okay, I'm going to walk you through setting all this stuff up. You really do need, unless you're a larger dealership or you have a really dedicated professional, and I'm not talking about a college kid that knows computers. I'm not talking about somebody that gets graphic design. I'm talking about somebody that understands the technology, the strategy, the salesmanship required, and that understands is able to keep up to date in all of the change that goes along. Google does an update. Facebook had a big change a while back, and man, there are people that I know outside of the boating industry, but there are people I know that were spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on some Facebook marketing, and with the Facebook change, everything was cut in half. The results that they were getting dropped in half, and they were like, "Holy smokes, we got to make a change." Well, if you don't stay up on top of that, and you keep chugging along, you can be wasting a whole bunch of money, wasting a whole bunch of opportunity, losing another boat season of not having this stuff in place. And that's a huge opportunity cost that gets missed a lot of times when you have an internal person that just kind of dabbles and isn't totally immersed like a professional would be. So I hope this was valuable. And think about it as you're going. Luckily, it's May. We do have some openings in our Done For You marketing program, and as I said, don't expect for it to get started and you invest your first several $1,000s in the first month, and all of a sudden, boom! It's like magic, and boat sales are popping up. Are just popping up like magic. We try to get results as quickly as possible, but it's a ever building snowball of success. And you have to be in it for the long haul. That doesn't mean you have to be spending several $1,000s a month, throughout the whole year, but you do have to stay engaged with it, and you do have to keep kind of priming that pump, and you do have to keep on top of the tracking from, and when I say tracking, it's done automatically in the system, but the tracking from one year to the next, to the next, to the next, and over time, those marketing dollars get very, very predictable, but you have to start somewhere. And so if you're interested, reach out to me. Shoot me an email at boatdealerprofits.com. You can give us a call, 803-526-7400, extension 710 will get you to my extension. I very seldom answer, but leave a message and we'll get a time scheduled. I'll have Christy give you a call to get a time scheduled to get on the phone. And if nothing else, we can do just a valuable strategy session. I can share some of the insights with you that we've discovered, and let you know if your market area is even open or not, or if a competitor has already snatched it up and is already building their snowball and building their competitive advantage. But reach out to me. Be happy to have that conversation. And if you want to know if you have that Facebook pixel, you don't want to let whoever's doing your digital marketing in on the fact that you're checking up on them, shoot me an email. I've got a tracker that I can run real quick, and I can check to see if it's there. If it's not, I'll let you know, and then you can decide what to do with that information. There you go. So thank you very much. You can check out all of our resources at boatdealerprofits.com. There are well over about 2 dozen Boat Dealer Profits episodes now. By the time you're listening to this, there may be more, depending on when you check this one out. So go to boatdealerprofits.com/podcast or iTunes, Stitcher Radio. You can find us on YouTube. The podcast is there as well. Just search Boat Dealer Profits Podcast there. Boat Dealer Profits TV episodes, boating industry articles. Like I said, the geo-targeting article hit it was March or April in Boating Industry Magazine, so you can dig up your copy and read that. There will be... there's a lot of stuff, a lot of resources, new webinars that are coming out, boatdealerprofits.com/webinars. Check out any of those. And of course, if you don't have a copy of my book, go to boatdealerprofitsbook.com and pick yourself up a copy of my latest book, Boat Dealer Profits, How the Splash System Can Help You Sell More Boats, Make More Money, and Have More Fun. So, all right, it is May. Go out, ask yourself, who am I going to sell a boat to today, and go sell a boat. Take care, everybody.